Welcome back to the Snyder Family Podcast. We are so glad you're tuning in this week for a really special episode, joined by Rachel and Ben, and it's going to be fun. Ben, why don't you tell them what we're doing here? This is different here.
So Rachel and I were thinking about this podcast was already in the works, and we were trying to think through like different ideas and questions. And so we sat down one night and we're like, I wonder what the most Googled parenting questions are. Like, what are they? And so we actually found a website that had them listed out alphabetically by state, what the most Googled parenting question is by state, which was just wild to us and we thought it would be great. Like, yeah. And so we just thought it would be really cool. And we talked through some of it, but we haven't seen all of them. So we don't know all of them.
All the questions. Yeah. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to ask these questions, and they're just going to give me their split-second hot take on that question. Yes. And then we're just going to go through all the different states alphabetically and see what happens. Well, this is what happens when Papa Bear is gone. We go rogue.
Daddy's out of the building.
We go rogue. It's really what happens. So, yeah, we're going to start with Alabama, see how many we can get through in this episode, and, give us your hot takes.
Let's go.
All right, let's start with Alabama. Alabama's most asked parenting question is, how many hours of sleep do kids need?
Okay, so I actually was just at the pediatrician with our 1-year-old, and they said that a 1-year-old needs 10 hours, including their naps.
So that'd be like 12 to 13?
No, like 10 total.
Oh.
So, like, with their naps included in that, it needs to amount to 10, which I thought was crazy because I assumed it was more than that, but it was 10. So.
I have 4 kids in, and I just learned something. I know, I need 7 to 8. That's what I hear is good for me.
Oh, also, this list does come to us from vocovision.com. So
yes,
credit where credit is due. Thank you for compiling this.
Yes.
You made it happen, VocoVision.
All right, question number 2 comes to us from Alaska, and they ask, how do you explain autism to kids? That's a really interesting question.
Yeah, so I actually have talked with our oldest daughter about this because we are part of a church, and she has encountered some people with autism, and so I just explained that, God made people, God loves people, and how some people are made is a little bit different. So, like, some ways they react to things might look a little bit different. Like for our daughter Vivian, she's very gifted in singing and like music, and so like that's something that's really special about her. And I just explain it as like other people have things that are special about them, and so they might react in a different way that looks different to you than other people. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how like we explain it as a family, as like these are different giftings that they have that make them unique and different from people.
Yeah. I think that I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I feel like to me you look at that as the most asked question by Alaska, and I mean, good on you guys. That's a deep question and multi-layered. So,
question number 3 comes from Arizona, and they ask, at what age can kids stay home alone?
Arizona needs a date night.
You need more daycares? No.
I also have Googled this. I'm pretty
Ben,
sure.
what are you doing here?
I'm with her.
I do think that kids, I think the rules in Minnesota are like once they turn 10, they can be home for like an hour at a time, like for an hour, and then each year it goes up a little bit. And obviously it says to like know your child, know their abilities, and so like obviously if our kid is going to burn down the house, I'm not going to leave her home alone for 2 or 3 hours, but I think it's like 10.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
Didn't Larry Boy say that?
I thought it was Spider-Man.
No, it's Larry Boy.
Larry Boy.
Oh, no, he was great chocolate. Way different. Very different. With great chocolate comes great.
Oh my gosh.
That's what that was.
Larry Boy.
Well, that's good. That's
That's
good.
when you know you have some homeschool in you. Larry Boy.
Come on. Come on. Question number 3. The most asked question from parents in California ask, why are kids so loud?
Yeah, I think that kids are still learning boundaries. And so when they get excited, you have this outpouring of expression, right?
Yeah.
And so you, as a parent, kind of have the responsibility to help them
Have awareness.
understand, like, have an awareness and have an understanding of appropriate response. And I think that there is something, like, culturally things have changed, right? Like, we're all about expression now versus back then it was kind of like you want to
Children are to be seen, not heard.
seen, not heard. And so I think that there is some like positivity in the change there, but at the same time, when you let emotions and responses go with no limitation and no
Unchecked.
boundaries,
Yeah.
that can be unhealthy. So
I do think it does, like, if a child is loud, I've heard that you've created an environment where they do feel safe to be themselves, but there are also, like, obviously situations where it's not as appropriate. We have a very loud firstborn, and I did get her hearing checked at her doctor's appointment just to make sure. So I resonate with these people.
And her hearing is
her
fine.
hearing is fine.
Impeccable.
She's
Yeah.
just loud.
I wonder if that's more the question. What's
Yeah.
the science? Why is the pitch so perfect to just rattle the eardrums?
I think there's probably something on the biological. There has to be. We don't know that off the cuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is a hot take, but I feel like there is something
That-
biological that, like, in you causes the response. Because, like, I know for me,
Yeah.
specifically,
I didn't think about it
Noah
that way, yeah.
and Jocelyn, their cries would just, like, absolutely drive me bonkers. Like when they were like in the crib, like, young toddler stage. And so I feel like that's part of,
Right.
though, like, I feel like it's part of what God's built into us as, like, a response of, like, a desire to care, like,
Well,
those
like they need
parental
their-
feelings.
Yeah,
you know what I
their-
mean? Like,
the attention of their caregiver. Like it's almost like a safety, like
Yeah.
yeah.
a safety thing too. I never thought about it that way. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, next question from Colorado.
Colorado.
How to talk so little kids will listen.
Do you want the answer that it should be? Or
Next question, Connecticut.
I know.
You're the teacher.
Like, yeah, I used to teach, and I taught elementary school, and I think a lot of it is getting down to their eye level, making sure that you're engaged, and I think to teach a child something and getting them to listen, you have to use multiple ways of explaining something. Like, you can just talk to them, but you can also go the next step and, like, you show them, and
Yeah.
then you have them tell it back to you or
Yeah.
teach it. So, like, I think with a kid, for it to really stick, you have to go the multi-level to make sure that it's kind of there.
Well, even with adults, you have multiple
Yeah.
forms of communication. Like,
Yeah.
how more so important is
The
that? With
KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Ben just wanted to say kiss.
No, you just want to say stupid.
It's one or the other. You decide. Put below in the comments which one you thought I was trying to say.
Oh my god.
Next question comes from Connecticut. When do kids start walking?
I think that's pretty varied,
Yeah.
but they can start walking as early as, like, 8 months.
I've seen a 9-month-old walk. I believe there have been younger.
I've heard rumors of a 7-month walking around.
There was one 7-month-old went wild. But some, like,
There was a 30-year-old
I
too.
mean, we have a
walking water.
12-month-old. 12-month-old that still is not walking. So, I mean, I think once you probably start hitting the 15-month, 16-month range, you're probably maybe getting a little concerned about the fact that they're not walking yet.
Yeah.
But I think there's like a 6 to 8 month variation there.
Sure.
They just, I think, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they just changed some of the milestone like markers on.
We're not as brilliant as we used to be.
I mean, our
grace period is
our
longer.
grace period is longer now.
Now this one comes from the District of Columbia. So they ask, our lawmakers ask, when do kids stop taking naps?
So either they want their alone time or their kids are acting like maniacs because they haven't taken one. Okay, kids. I would say kids for sure need to nap until they're 2. Jocelyn, she turned 2, and if she would take a nap, she wouldn't go to bed until like after 11 o'clock. Noah, I thought like, oh, he's 2. Now we can stay out a whole day and I don't need to worry about his naps. And the kid, like, after 5 days of that, was having meltdowns every single day and, like, lost his mind. And so we have gone back to naps.
I think my mom has a photo. I think our mom
Yeah.
has a photo of Noah passed out, standing up on the coffee table.
Yes. 100%. 100%. So I think some kids, I mean, still go to elementary school, will come home, take a nap. Mm-hmm. So I'd say some 2, some all the way up till probably 5 take naps. So
I missed a question from Delaware. The most asked question from Delaware is what causes autism in children?
So I mean, there are so many different forms of autism. I know that, like, some can be passed down, like parents can be carriers of a gene, and that causes a change in the formation. There's also, like, age. As women get older, like, the chances of having a child with autism significantly go up. And then there's just, like, random, when things were forming, like, something happened and it changed.
There's a lot of factors, and we are not experts or, you know, doctors, but we're just giving our hot takes.
She sounds like an expert. I just kidding.
Yeah, no. I think parenting for kids, you have more ability to, like, because you've
encounter
done
families,
more,
and you do life with people who have experienced things, and so, like,
a lot of different.
Yeah,
and both of us have experience working with kids in the school systems. Like, so I used to work with special needs kids as a para for like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And Rachel
and
was
in home care, so
I did in-home care as well. And
Yeah.
so you see different things, but there's not really one necessarily root cause that stems to all different scenarios.
Yeah.
Such a variation.
All right, on to Florida. Florida
What?
Florida asks how to help a child lose weight without making them feel bad.
Okay, what's hilarious is it's Florida, so I'm thinking kids are running around in swimsuits, and so, like, part of me
Florida.
is like, yes, you want healthy kids, but also, like, shame on you, Florida.
At least they're trying to do it without making them feel bad.
Yes, that's true.
So how do you do it?
So what happens when you go to the browser?
How do you do it?
I mean, we have conversations. I mean, Vivian is at an age where she realizes the difference in people's statures and, like, what they look like. And so we have conversations about, like, how God makes people, because, like, my sisters and I, like, we talk about it all the time, how our bone structures are literally different. And so, like, a couple of them can share clothes, and, like, a couple of us don't, like, we'll share clothes between each other because of our bone structure. And so there's that aspect of, like, you are made a specific way and the way God made you, but God also calls us to steward our bodies well. So we shouldn't be eating crap and like treating our bodies like crap because our bodies are a temple.
Yeah.
And so I've talked with Vivian about just, like, being a good steward of her body. Does that mean you have to look like a Barbie doll? No.
Yeah.
But you can teach kids, like, this is what the Bible says about our bodies. This is, like,
Yeah.
these are healthy foods that help your body grow in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So
I think
don't
that's
know.
good.
Yeah.
We have 3 girls and 1 boy, so we've not gotten that conversation yet with our son, but we've had
Yeah.
more of those talks with Vivian.
Yeah,
who's
she's
starting
just getting
like,
to that
comprehend.
age where she's just like becoming more body aware.
7.
Yeah.
And she also asks questions, so sometimes you get into a little trouble when she goes up to somebody and asks questions, and you're like,
yeah, and this is how you talk to someone who.
Yeah.
that's not appropriate to ask that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just pull back a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on, Georgia.
Oh, no.
Georgia asks, why do kids wet the bed?
I mean, at what age context are we here?
Yeah. I mean,
Bed?
I did wet the bed for a long time.
That's why I'm asking.
Oh.
What's your answer?
I'll be honest. I had problems going to the bathroom for a long time as a kid. Like, and this is my hot take. I had some issues going to the bathroom up until high school, and I was bullied for it, like pretty heavily in some seasons
Rachel.
of my life.
Nice.
Yeah,
Still
Rachel.
in a season of life.
Laugh at my pain. No, but I would say that it depends on what it's from. Like for sometimes it's like, are you drinking too much water before bed? So it's more habitual things that you need to change. And then for other people, there's trauma that impacts that, and so like you need to work through like, okay, how do we help you not be afraid of this, or this not to be a factor in the way that you sleep and bodily functions and how that implies. But I don't know, for me it was part of just I think it was a couple different things, but one of them being like that FOMO, like I never wanted to miss out on what people were doing. So, but at nighttime, like it wasn't necessarily a wet the bed scenario, but it was more so I struggled even during the day, of like not wanting to break from what I was doing. And I was just so focused on like what everybody else was doing, wanting to be involved, that I would have struggles going to the bathroom.
Next, Hawaii. When do boys stop growing?
We would be the experts in this, I think.
In my case,
Physically or mentally?
Oh, well, the answer to mentally is you never stop growing, Rachel, if you're a healthy individual.
Yeah.
Grandpa said to
Checkmate.
Grandpa always said never stop learning.
Yeah.
So you should always be growing mentally. Physically, though,
Sam never stops.
I never stop growing. I
just
I
kept going.
still think I'm growing.
Sometimes I come and I'm like, wow, you grew another inch, huh?
I have no idea. I'm 25 now.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Do you think?
I hope so. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is on that. I mean, I know people like I think I grew.
Well, I think
I grew into
the
college.
body matures faster than the brain. Like the brain matures
I
later
feel
than
like,
the body.
I mean, this could totally be wrong, but I thought it was like girls stop growing end of high school, boys stop growing end of college.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
thought it was
I remembered. I think I remember reading an article about how boys' brains finish developing, like adult male brains are around 32.
Whoa,
I thought 25.
25,
So
maybe
maybe
Yeah.
somewhere in that range.
20.
Yeah.
7 years.
I don't know. I just thought it was. I think either way,
But-
25 to 31. I thought it was interesting
Do you-
because it was past the legal drinking age.
Yeah.
Which then really can have because heavy drinking can really impact your brain functions.
Yeah.
And so I was, not that I drink heavy, but I was surprised that like that was the
Yeah.
age versus the age of legal drinking.
Like we're gonna allow this even though your brain is not fully developed. To
Right.
use
Well, or
something
like
that can
nicotine.
highly,
You know what I mean? Like you can
like-
get highly addicted to nicotine
At
at 18, but your brain's not fully developed, and so the rest of your brain development is impacted
Yeah.
for the rest of your life, starting at
Yeah.
18, which is when it's legal.
Yeah,
So.
that's wild.
I don't know, just interesting.
Now, the most asked parenting question from Idaho. when can kids start growing potatoes? No.
I was like, no way to
No,
say
is
that.
the question?
They ask, why is social media bad for kids?
Oh, that's a good question.
For so
Yeah.
many reasons.
I think it's literally, you could
go on a rabbit trail with that
Yeah.
for a long time. I would say the things that we know, and Rachel can speak to probably a little bit more because of the research she's done. But I would say that it's highly addictive, which then impacts your relational ability and functions, because you start seeing these patterns of behavior on screens, and it can maybe help in enhance and speed up some of the things that they're catching on to, but you're seeing essentially an unfiltered, you have, what is the whenever you have a device that has a connection to the internet, essentially anyone in the world has the ability to connect with the person that has that device. So when you have a device as a kid, you can put some filters on it and stuff, but essentially
It's a saying, you're not giving your kids access to the world, you're giving the world access to your kids.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that you deciding as a parent when you want that responsibility to be put on your child's shoulders is a good question to ask yourself as a parenting couple.
I've seen reels that are meant to be funny that will be me and my friends when we were 12, and they're doing these funny videos and they have their ponytail to the side. They look like a hot mess and they're hilarious. And then it's girls these days that are 12 and they have their lashes done, their hair, they look sexualized. And so it's when you give social media, there was a Dove commercial on it, and it shows a girl who was in dance, who loved photography and loved taking pictures, and she was just this pure of heart. And then you watch her get a phone and you watch her demeanor change. She all of a sudden has an eating disorder because she's trying to have this image that is unrealistic that's put out there by social media. It's also, there are lots of attributes of it now that are very unsafe. You can, Vivian was just playing a simple game the other day on Ben's phone, and all of a sudden I was like, that has a chat in that game. And I was like, get her off of it, and she's not allowed to play it because it just takes one person being interested and the wrong person being interested.
Yep.
So I have a friend who was sharing that she knew someone who was really struggling, very anxious, and just feeling really down. And she's like, well, what have you been doing this last week? And she's like, well, I've just been at my hotel room in the evenings when I'm done with work, and I've been watching social media, watching the news, all that stuff. And I don't think our bodies and our brains were created to intake so many opinions and tragedies. And you think about it, before social media, you didn't hear about the person who was murdered across the country. You didn't hear about the kid who was kidnapped. You didn't hear about the suicide. You didn't hear about all of those things. You heard about your inner circle.
Yeah.
And when things happen. And so there's so much more negativity that's coming in when you give that access. And so I think that it just removes that purity.
And part of that is I think there are some people that are trying to combat the negativity. You have some outlets that are trying to put out only positive news.
Yeah.
But you can hear now, I was reading an article the other day, and it was really sad about how this a girl and her dad were attacked by a bear in Siberia. And then I read the article date, and it's years ago, and it's it's a terrible thing, and it's really tragic, but I have no control over that, and it just creates a panic in me, and it's so removed from where I am. Not that you don't want to be aware of things, but it's, I think it takes away, just as I'm thinking about it, it takes away some of the ability to feel like you can act on things that are happening in your world around you, because you feel like you have this massive scope, and at what level can I make an impact, because you're hearing all of this negative information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, man, this is my, we would talk about in my communications classes, a locus of control. Like, this is what you have the ability to impact.
Yeah.
And so this is how, like, you can't control that. It's that prayer, like, God, give me the ability to, you know what I'm talking
Change
about.
what I
Change what I can. And
can see.
I forget what it
Shoot.
is. But you essentially, like, God, give me the power to change what I can, and give me the ability to, like, bring to you what I can't control.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a lot of things we can't control, and we're getting all this negative input,
Yeah.
where our output then becomes less and not as constructive, because we've taken in all these things. And it says in Scripture, like, what you put in comes out. Like, out of the heart the mouth speaks.
Yeah. And I do think, on the flip side, there is a powerful ministry tool that you can use to share the gospel, but I don't think kids are trained and developed enough to have the discernment
Yeah.
in how to use things well. Like, even adults get addicted to social media and to their phones. And so, like, if we're not exemplifying that well, first off, and then you're giving kids, like, the candy before they've learned that sugar is bad for them. And so, like, I think that whole idea.
Yeah, there's just more and more research that the later you give kids
The best.
media, the better.
Yeah.
Like, and
There's a lot of, like, from safety
Yeah.
to mental health
Yeah.
to addiction and
Yeah.
dopamine issues to
yeah.
I'd
Like-
rather be the mean parent with a healthy kid, and rather than the, like, devastated parent down the road that
yeah.
now my kid is stuck.
Well, I mean, even the last, like, couple of years, there's been an uptick in kids that have, like, ended their lives
Yeah.
because of things that have happened. I was reading an article yesterday about a kid that got in a chat with an AI, like an AI chat, and was convinced essentially to take their own life.
Well-
So it's just the longer you can prolong it, and the more educated that you can be on it, not just saying everything is bad, and not just saying
We
everything's
actually
okay.
have a great resource. What's it called?
Right Now Media?
No,
Or-
no. Our friends are actually creating
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole program that we could probably link below this,
Yeah.
all about educating parents on
They should.
safe media.
come
I
on the
think
podcast.
it's like Behind the Curtains, or we'll have to link exactly what the website is, because
Yeah.
I actually attended a teaching done by them, and it was so well done. And they're just launching this ministry to help parents with safety on the internet, basically giving kids a driver's license for the online.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job explaining it, and have really cool tools on their website. So
That's
that would
really
be,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If you've been listening to the podcast, Sam Snyder is the person sponsoring this and has been putting a lot of this together, along with his wife Larissa. And we are just so thankful that this podcast is available because of them. And so they are the sponsors for this episode. And so we're so thankful that
Check
we
them
get
out
to
on
do
the
this as a
Instas.
family. Check them out on the Instas, on
Yeah.
social media. Sam Snyder is also a producer, an artist, like
All the things.
all the things.
Sam, stop.
Larissa does photography. Like
Yeah.
they're just a very multi-talented group. But we just want to say thank you for sponsoring this podcast and for making it happen.
Yep.
As
And
we
inviting
do
us.
this.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Having
inviting
us
us.
on the podcast.
Of course. Anytime.
It's my pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Give me another shout out and I'll invite you back again.
For part 2.
Well, that is all the time we have for today.
Oh my gosh. Where did we end?
We ended at Idaho. Idaho was the last one. So
Okay.
we're gonna make this a part 2. We're gonna pick up
maybe a part 3.
maybe a part 3, depending on how long the takes are, how hot the takes are.
They're spicy.
We'll kick off with Illinois in part 2. But
Yes.
this was a lot of fun.
Yes.
But thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah.
And Make sure to check out our social medias, our website. If you want to sponsor, email us at the Snyder Family Podcast website. You can connect with us there. Like, subscribe, all the things. So that we can keep this content going. And make sure to, comment. If you have a hot take or something like that in response, throw it down in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you.
We would love to hear from some experts.
We would love to hear from some people in California. Why your kids are so loud.
Yes.
But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.